What's going on, guys? Welcome to Don't Be a Basic Biscuit. I have a special guest, Mark Seiden of the Mark Seiden team. And why do I have Mark Seiden? We all know that the commission lawsuits and the settlement and all this craziness within the industry. I've not really touched upon this topic actually up until right now because we are just weeks away from when this settlement takes place, and we're gonna have to start getting buyer representation agreements signed by our buyers. There's so many questions that I've been getting from my agents, and I was like, who is the best person that I know to get on this podcast to handle these questions? And that is Mark Seiden. Mark Seiden is a great agent, a phenomenal agent. He actually came to all of our managers in our company to kind of help us and train us to train our agents on doing this the correct way. He has a website called welcometothecommissionrevolution.com, and that's going to be going up and having videos, and he'll be having a course going over how you could actually handle these objections and how to handle getting these things signed. So Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. So, kind of like with everybody else, I've been in the business forever. So I've been in the business since 1993. So it's over 30 years. And I've always been pretty much the radical, let's do something different agent. I've been called many things, positive and negative, but one word I've never been called is typical. I still remember my first interview. It says, in 2 words, can you tell us something about yourself in 2 words? I said, sure, I'm a rebel. So that's just kind of what I've been doing things for years.
I like that.
It's like my favorite interview, and I got the job. So really doing in real estate, and again, being based in New York, and I know this is going out to everywhere, but being kind of based in New York, when buyer agency really first started coming to our area in the 1990s, everything kind of was revolting and going kind of chaos. And about 15 years ago, learning from other agents and other industries and stuff like that, I actually started to do 100% exclusive right to represent agreements with all our buyers on my team. So we've been doing that since about 2010.
So you've been doing what is required now for over a decade.
Correct.
Almost
Correct.
decade and a half.
So if you really read the DOJ and NAR settlement, there's a few things I had to tweak on the form because there's just certain things they want things tweaked on the form, and we had to change our exclusive right to represent. Exclusive right to sell, because we had to break the commissions out differently that way. But basically, we're tweaking. There's no reinvention. So 100% of the buyers that we take out sign the agreement. If they didn't sign the agreement, we didn't take them out. Now, did we have people that didn't sign? Sure. But every real estate agent has that. I mean, how many listing presentations has a real estate agent done? Do you know anybody who's got a 100% conversion rate?
Yeah, no.
So, we're not afraid of the answer no. But for us, we're just kind of chuckling. Because I've been called so many horrible names by my competition by doing the exclusive right to represent and putting in an offer and asking for a higher commission than the MLS has because we have an agency agreement signed. What I have been called, you can't put some of those words on this podcast.
You're a great guy, Mark.
Yeah.
Come on.
But now, oh my God, I'm the holder of the secret sauce.
You really, that's crazy because, it really is crazy though. Like you've been doing this and you are probably one of the most high demand guys that I know right now.
That's correct.
With all this, and it's true because I remember we had a conference and it was a convention in Florida, and like wherever Mark was, there was a large crowd around Mark, and everyone was like, "What are you gonna do?" So this is great, Mark, and I love. So also, just real quick, you're coming out with a 12-week course on how to do this.
Yeah, I'm hoping to launch sometime probably end of August, maybe mid-September. And the reason why it's a long course is because, and I know there's a lot of courses out there. Someone just sent me one today where someone was sending a 2-day course, and I read what they're going to be doing, and all I did was just shake my head and say, I just don't get it. Doing a value proposition, a proper value proposition on the buy side, is not something that can be taught in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or 1 day or 2 days. It can't, because it's a whole new world for most people for how do you create a value proposition on the buy side. Now, it's not as hard as people think, because the agents have always had to create a value proposition on the list side. So agents are used to, on the listing side, going against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other brokers or agents, and having create this whole master plan of why you versus the other agent or the other company. And some value propositions are certainly better than others. So now this just has to be done on the buy side. But the people that I have seen so far who are putting out these courses have no boots on the ground experience of ever signing buyers up an exclusive right to represent agreement. None of them.
Yeah, it's absolutely true, because nobody ever had to, really. I mean, some people probably did do it, just being, learning the right way to do the business. But I would say that's like 1 out of 1,000.
Right. And we did it when the alternative for the consumer is they could just go right next door and go work with an agent who didn't charge anything. So imagine how skilled we are of convincing people to do it when they literally can go next door and pay El Zippo. And we still got them to sign and write us a check at closing. And we had the most number of reviews on Zillow, Google, and Better Business Bureau than any of my competition in Westchester County.
So you're telling me, and let me just make this clear, that you had buyers paying you on top of what any other agent would have been getting.
Well, here's how an exclusive right to represent works. An exclusive right to represent, there's a certain commission that you contract with the buyer. We call it a performance, you can call it whatever you want, but there's our minimum commission. This is our minimum commission for working with you. Now, we'll compare it to the MLS. If the MLS is paying the same fee, you don't have to kick in for anything. If the MLS is actually paying more based on the language of how our contract was, we could collect more because it was in our contract allowing us to do it, and the buyer is giving us permission to do so. And if the MLS was paying less, then the buyer was on the hook for paying us the differential. Many times we got the seller to put it in the price and pay it from the proceeds. And I'm going to dip something in here that I know we don't have time for today. Are you ready for this one? And I think you heard this during the manager's meeting. Adding commission to the price of the house to increase the price of the house is absolutely not a seller's concession. It is not a seller's concession. And I can prove that it's not a seller's concession. It would take too long on this podcast. So maybe that's a hook for another one.
Well, there you go. That's the hook for the Welcome to the Commission Revolution.com course.
It's not a seller's concession, and yet our entire industry is now setting things up with the sellers and see if they get permission in advance. Would they do a seller's concession? It's not a seller's concession. It's wrong.
No, this is great. So guys, this is why I have Mark on here, because he's been living the negotiations that we're going to have to learn and go through now. So I asked Mark if he'd be open to do some role playing with you guys. So some of the most common questions that we're going to start receiving, I wanted to see how Mark would answer them, such as, how am I going to pay for this? Right? I'm already coming to the table with 20%, or I only can afford FHA at 3.5%. How am I going to pay for your commission on top of this? So Mark, how would you answer that if I were the buyer that just asked you that question?
Okay. So I'm gonna park that in two different places. Number one is what everyone has read is those who are putting no money down or VA loans are 3.5% down. That's a little challenging. So the only way to do it with, let's say, a 3.5% down is that the commission may have to be built into the price and added to the price. But I'm going to repeat myself for the 98th time. It's not a seller's concession. It should not affect any seller's concession amount that a buyer is able to get, because commission effect on the sales price is not a seller's concession. So I could add $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to the price as long as the buyer can get a mortgage for that amount. So if they're buying a house for $400 and now it has to be $420, yeah, they have to be able to get a mortgage for a house that costs $420. But it should not affect their seller's concession. So if they need a seller's concession above that for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6%, there's no effect if it's
So
done
essentially, it's
correctly.
becoming built within the price of the house, which is pretty much how it was this whole time.
Correct. But
The
I
commission was
actually
always built
developed,
into the price. Everyone was already paying it.
yeah, but I actually developed a way that even the lenders haven't thought of. So this is going to be a part of my videos and in my course of where you can have the buyers, ready for this one? Are you sitting down? Are you on a podcast?
Yes.
Have the buyers pay in cash, pay the entire commission at closing, and not take one more dollar out of the buyer's bank account than they were expecting to pay in closing costs, which actually makes your offer better to the seller because now you can tell the seller the entire commission is being paid for the buyer. I know, Mr. Seller, if you were even offering a commission, keep it. Keep it.
How's
Make
that
your
work?
net higher. My buyer will pay our commission 100%, and I can do that without increasing the price of the house $1. Do not change the price. I can get it financed where it costs the buyer very little financed. Oh, on that, so what's the word? Oh, tax deductible. And it won't take one more dollar out of the buyer's bank account than they thought they were going to be paying for transaction fees or closing costs in the first place.
So how's that work?
I designed this, and I hadn't really taken on personal buyers myself in a while. I've been teaching, but we did what I called a Grey's Anatomy style with my staff. So I took on a buyer, and all my buyer agents put on we call them the virtual lab coats. And they came to my buyer consultation, and they came to the whole exclusive right to represent, and they did all the math. So that's why this is a 12-week course. There's math that people have to learn. Now, when I say the word math, people freak out. And I hope half the people didn't turn off the podcast right now.
I hope not.
The great news about the math is it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There's nothing else. And I did all the math with my agents. We won, I think it was a 7 or 8 person bidding war. We were against, ready? All cash offers. Our offer was contingent on a mortgage, contingent on an appraisal. But because I was able to submit the offer with the buyer paying 100% of the commission and the seller could keep whatever he was going to say to offer as a net, ready? We won.
That's crazy. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm going to have to sign up for this 12-week course.
Yeah.
I better get a discount, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, everybody wants a discount. I'm going to give the family and friends discount. I charge double, then take 20% off.
I love it. I love it. Shoot. I should have known better not to freaking negotiate with you, Mark.
Right.
All right, cool. So another question that I think that we're going to be getting a lot of is, why should I even pay you, right? Like, why don't I just go and do this on my own, Mark? Like, why do I have to sign this document? And what value do you bring?
Right.
Why would I even do this?
Great question. So one of the reasons why this is a 12-week course, and one of the reasons why everyone should be very wary of any course they're going to pay for from somebody else is, ask someone if they have the experience of really signing up a lot of people in a buyer representation if I'm going to pay for a course. Because if the answer is no, but don't worry, I got it, I would worry. So unfortunately, there are no short answers. So the objection handling for things like this are sometimes anywhere between 7 and 15-minute back and forth scripts, dialogues, and objection handling techniques.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it should be. It's a conversation.
There are no 2 or 3 word answers. Oh, great. Thanks. And then I get them to sign. No, it's an explanation. So we have a 3-part explanation. So great. Number 1 is we ask, I invented this question 20-something years ago. It's called the big question. So you asked a great question. Why should I sign with you? I have a great question. Here's my first question for you. Do you think you're going to buy your home for the exact same price and terms, no matter which agent you select? And then I do fantastic. This. Ready?
Yeah, even I'm quiet. I'm like, what's next? Tell
So
me what's
the
next, Mark.
second thing I said, because if you're going to get the house for the exact same price and terms, no matter which agent you select, there's only one thing you should shop: commission. But is it a possibility out of whatever MLS you're in, 7,000 agents, 4,000 agents, 14,000 agents, is it possible that some of us can get you a house in a bidding war where the other people can't? Or we can actually sell your house for more money than the other agents because we have talents of negotiation skill that other people don't have. Is that a possibility? Ready? Wait, don't answer that question. I have another question for you that may seem odd, but I promise you has a point. Ready? Now this is called my attorney script. Attorneys. Are all attorneys the same? Now,
Definitely
I've
not.
never gotten a yes. I said, but I don't understand. No matter what state they're in, they took the exact same state exam. They have the exact same license. No matter what kind of law they do, there aren't different degrees for that law. It's one license. Oh, kind of like a real estate agent. And they all work within the same database. Actually, there's two databases. There's the law that has the squiggly lines that says the law. And then there's case law. Real estate agents have the same databases too. We have the MLS database of what's on and what the house looks like and all that other stuff. And then we have case law. Souls. You have to interpret case law. You have to interpret souls. So if the laws are exactly the same, if the case law is exactly the same, if the license is exactly the same, if the exam is exactly the same with all lawyers, if you ever had to go to court, is there any difference between any law firm? You could just go in the proverbial yellow pages. Sorry, I'm old people. The old yellow pages, and you'll get the same result. Do you think that's possible with real estate agents too?
Yeah, I love that.
Then I go into the third. If this is taking too long, shut me down.
No, I want you. This is like phenomenal. This
So
is
here's
probably
the
the best episode I've had so far.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
amazing.
thanks. Sorry, other people. Don't worry.
I mean, they're great. They're
I
fantastic.
paid them a lot of money for this
But
already.
this is like such an important topic. This might be like the most important episode I've had, since I started.
Oh, good. So here's the second part of that. I go, wait. And they go, no. I know the lawyers are different. So they said, so can we real estate? But you know what? I'm even going to take it one step further. So Joe, let me ask you a question. What do you do? I'm a teacher. Okay. What do you teach? I teach history. Okay. Approximately, how many history teachers are there in your school district? 5. Are you guys all the same? Who's probably
That's a loaded
who you
question.
think is probably the best? And what does everybody always say?
I'm the best.
I'm the best. And here I go. You ready? But I don't understand. Doesn't your state designate the program that you're supposed to be teaching in your school district? Doesn't your school district then dictate what you're supposed to be teaching and the textbook that you're supposed to be teaching from? Doesn't the Board of Education, or I could be way off on that, but someone dictate to you, this is what you need to do to get the kids ready for whatever test? Isn't it, ready, the same for y'all?
It's true.
So are you telling me you're all the same?
That's
so I'm going to ask you the same question again. Do you think you're going to be able to buy or sell your house for the exact same price no matter which agent you select?
That's a very powerful script.
That someone could get you or save you $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 more than anybody else. Nobody's better than anybody else.
That's good. That's really good. So then that brings me into my. Well, you're good on that, right?
I got
that's
one
how you
more
would answer
closing
that?
statement.
Okay, let's hear the closing
So
statement.
then I tell them, so I'm you as a real estate agent. If you're the best history teacher, today's your lucky day. You just got the best negotiating realtor.
I love that. That's a clip in its own right there. That's awesome, man. I love it. So then that brings me then to my next objection that will be having. Oh, these properties are going crazy right now. They're all going over $100,000 of ask. What value are you even bringing to me? Like why would I even sign up with the realtor rather than just sending a contract to myself? Like everything's going high.
Right. So that's a great question. So here's what you need to understand about a really great real estate agent. Now, this is going to be different from market to market. So I have to only
Yeah,
talk about the market we're in, but no matter what anybody's market's in, if you ever do a podcast where people can call in with questions, bring it on. I did a Stump the Panel, got a few years ago. There were two of us on this stage and Stump the Panelists, and we had managers, brokers, agents, lenders in there. We were getting whipped with questions. Yeah, we were never stumped. It was the most fun I've ever had.
that's
This is my
awesome.
second fun, but that one was the funnest of fun.
That sounds like fun.
Right. So what you need to understand about your agent is our agent, our job in this market where there's bidding wars, if there are bidding wars, our job is to get you the house for the least amount of money, but also to make sure you get the house. Here's what you need to understand about today's market. So I'm going to talk about our market here in Westchester, or our areas of Westchester, and your parts of New Jersey, and other people's parts of Connecticut.
Sure.
Ours are kind of similar. If there's a house that's on the market now for $895 and you already said yeah, or let's call it 900, easy numbers, and you said it's already gone for 150 or 150 grand more, my answer is you're absolutely correct. And what you need to be prepared for is to be able to spend that 100, 105, 150, maybe even going 175. And you're saying, well, Mark, why do I need you if I'm going to do that? I said, well, number one is without me, you're not going to. And number two, how I'm going to save you $50,000 to $100,000 is this. If the market is still going up, if a house is at 900, we now know that a house is going to sell, let's say, for at least $1,025,000. That's now the new benchmark for that house as soon as it goes into contract. Not close, contract. So now the neighbor goes on the market, and it's a miracle. The house is exactly the same. It's got the same colors, the same features, the same backyard. It's a clone. Isn't that interesting? So here's my question. How much is that house going on the market for?
$1 million at least.
It's going to go on for more than $1.25 million.
Yep.
And what everyone needs to understand, Mr. Buyer, is that it's not that one person won the bidding war. And it's not that you or somebody else lost the bidding war. Is that there were probably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 14 people who lost the bidding war. So who's now going to be bidding on the next house?
All those other buyers.
And then what's that price going to go? So if that now goes from $1,025,000 to $1 million, maybe it only goes 50 grand more to $1,075,000. And if there's 12 people on that offer, it ain't going to be $1,075,000. It's going to be 1 plus. Here's my job. My job is to take this spiked bat and smack the crap out of you. So you pay $1,025,000 for that house. Because if you don't pay $1,025,000 for that house, the next house is going to cost you $50,000 to $100,000 more for the exact same product. So do you want me to kick the crap out of you to pay $1,025,000? Or do you want me to just lay back and say, oops, oh, but here's the next one for $1,001,000 and change.
Even
Oops.
higher than what you would have paid.
Right. It's called the more than more. I said, or here's the biggest trap that buyers walk into. Your top is $1,025,000. You can't pay more than that. And now this house went for $1,025,000 ready without you. And the next one that comes on is going to be selling for more than $1,025,000. That means the next house that you can get for $1,025,000 is going to be less of a house somehow than what you were looking at before. It could be less renovated, less bathrooms, on a busier road. You name what the challenge is, but now you're going to get ready less for the same amount of money.
Yep.
You don't want an agent who's nice. Nice is going to cost you money with 5 or 6 zeros in it by the time you're finished.
That's so true.
If I can get you to pay what you need to pay to get this first one, I just saved you about $100,000 to $150,000 just like this, even though you just had to pay $100,000 to $125,000 more, because the next one is $100,000 to $150,000 above the $125,000.
Yeah, if you're looking for the same exact product. And you make a great point, is that, okay, your pre-qual maxes you out at, 1-1, then you're going to have to stick to that price, and then the next house is going to be I'll say it, shittier house that's going to cost the same price as the one that you could have just gotten if you just listened to me and actually went in at the price that I told you.
Right. It's always going to be less for one reason. And what I tell people is the less could be a lot of things. You may say, I now can't afford this area. Now I have to go to another area because I still want the house that I want. Okay. But now you've had to compromise on location. You had an opportunity to go to your number one location, and you won't compromise on the type of house. So that means you have to compromise on location. Or you may be compromising the number of bedrooms. Or you may be compromising on the quality of the lot, whether it's flat or whether it's a mountain or, whatever. Or you may be compromising on condition because you didn't want to do renovations. You work 14 hours a day. Blah, blah,
Exactly.
blah, 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 blah. So the purpose of a really great negotiator is just like an attorney as a great negotiator at a trial in court. You don't want the nice passive person.
Yeah, I like that. That's true.
You want the one who's going to keep you out of jail.
Yep.
So if I can get you to win the first bidding war, or maybe you don't win that one, but you win the second bidding war, by you not having to go to the third bidding war, I just saved you $100,000, and my commission is only $22,500. So here's my question: would you pay $22,500 to save $100,000?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that's a really good objection handle right there. I like that. That was amazing.
Thanks.
So then now the last one, right, that we're going to receive quite a bit of is actually on the seller side. I truly believe, and look, no matter what anyone said, commissions were never required to be offered to the buy side. It was never like, they were asking for it to be on the MLS, but it was never like, you never had to pay a buyer agent. Okay, you could have offered $1.
I love you.
All right, great. I love you too, man.
Now, what you're stating is legally.
But the question we're gonna get is all right, well, why should I offer a buyer agent money? I mean, I still think that the seller should, but because of just reduced competition. But like, how would you handle that? If they're like, all right, well, now I saw that I don't have to pay a buyer's agent, so why should I offer buyer agent compensation?
Okay, so here's the real answer, because our sellers are asking that too. And I will let you know, I am not making a recommendation one way or the other. And by the way, the worst thing a real estate agent can do, and there's going to be people who say, Mark, you're completely wrong. I firmly believe that, blah. And the reason why I have a challenge with that is you better be 100% right at what you're stating, because if the client listens to you and then suddenly it fails, whose fault is it?
Yeah,
which is why, by the way, I never tell a buyer how much I think they should bid. So, Mark, these houses are going up for $100,000, $125,000. Should I put a bid for $125,000 more? I don't answer that question. I said, I can't answer that. Well, Mark, I'm paying you all this money. You're supposed to answer that question. And I promise you, this leads on to that other question you just asked. And I go, okay, wait. Before I say yes or no for the $125,000, can you give me a second? Sure. I got to put my hands on my temples. I'm going to close my eyes. ESP. What are all the other buyers offering? What are the sellers looking for? What are the sellers willing to take as a price compared to terms? Hold on, I'm trying to read everybody else's freaking mind, because I'll tell you if the 125 is right as soon as I know all the data from all these other people. Crap! My ESPN isn't working.
Your ESPN.
That's from Mean Girls, for those who don't know the meaning.
That's hilarious.
Right. So how can I tell you if 125 is the right price or not if I have zero data on how many other buyers there are, how many bids they've lost, how qualified they are, what numbers they're going to be putting
How
in,
desperate
what the
they've
sellers are
become.
looking for, and you want me to magically tell you 125, that's a great price. I won't tell you that. My ESPN is broken. Wait, one more time. No. Coming down to your question with the sellers is, real estate agents, be very careful on the advice you give, because I'm very well respected by giving no direct answers, because I tell them why a direct answer doesn't work. So why should a seller still pay the commission? So I would tell some sellers and say, look, you have a choice. You have to make a decision on how easy it's going to be for you to make the highest net, not the highest price, but the highest net. Get off price, start looking at net. So in this market where there's a lot of agents out there who are not going to know what the heck they're doing with these buyer agreements, and they're going to be freaking out and then giving a lot of misinformation to their buyers, or telling their buyers to slam your house because you're not giving a commission, which is illegal. That, just so you know, that's just illegal. Yeah. At least in New York, and probably at least 48 out of 50 states. That's illegal, that statement. But since it's going to be happening, if you don't offer commission, is that going to hurt you with the number of people who could put an offer on your property? So if you do make it easy for the buyer agents who don't know what the heck they're doing, but that may increase the volume of people that are coming to your house, could that get you a higher gross price because you have more people bidding, and then once you take the commission out, it gives you the highest net? Or the other way is the market hot enough that you don't have to offer anything or offer something reduced, but you don't think that's really going to negatively affect the gross price that you get? So if you think you're kind of going to get pretty close to that gross price anyway, if you don't offer commission, the price may not change, but you'll have a higher net. So, Mr. Seller, you kind of have to make a decision of what direction you want to go. Well, Mark, what should I do? Okay, hold on. I got my fingers on my temples and I'm squinting really hard this time. I promise you I'm not in the bathroom. Nothing's coming in. I don't know what offers are going to come in. I don't know how smart or not smart the other agents are on agency disclosures. I don't know how many offers you're going to get. Wait, one more. Nope, nothing coming in. So now I'm kind of making this short. This strategy conversation could be 10 or 15 minutes with a client, because we have to go back and forth. Because I need them to self-actualize that it's their risk and reward. And I have theories and I have the pros and cons, but I still don't have the answer. Do you?
I don't.
Right. Stop right there. Be comfortable with that answer. Say that again.
I don't.
Thank you. Boy, that's hard for an agent to do.
I have another way that I think that I would have, I would, it's partially that, but it's also, I actually truly do think that they should, because it's not only the agents, but now these buyers are looking at what they owe their agent, and they're going to be like, well, I would rather go see the properties that are going to be offering my compensation to be paid for my agent, right? So it's the buyers now that are going to look and say, hey, if I'm looking at this house versus this house, the seller is not offering compensation for my representation on this house, then I'm just going to go to this house.
So you're right.
They might be the identical properties, but one of them is. So that's increasing eyes on your property, which will potentially, basic economics, increase the price of your net, what you take home.
Maybe, but I would tell you, if I have a seller who's offering compensation, every other agent who's bringing an offer on that house, if I or one of my team members is going to be putting an offer on the house, you have a very high probability of loss, even if you're all cash. Because if the seller's going to be offering 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4 apples, whatever the number of apples they want to offer. I'm going to be putting in my offer with my buyer. And my buyer is going to pay all of that because I have a way to put it in the mortgage without increasing the price, without increasing one more dollar out of the person's bank account. And now any offer I put in is now 1 to 4 apples higher in net than any of your offers because you guys just want to make it easy for yourselves. I can't wait to put in an offer against you, buyer to buyer to buyer. You're going to make my life so freaking easy. Can't wait. Thank you. Let me know your address. I'll send you a thank you card. Because when I'm collecting that commission, and you're not, I can afford a $25 gift card. Tell me where you want it. So what people really need to learn to do this right is, which is why it's a 12-week course. You need to understand everybody's going to attempt to teach this in a 2-hour seminar, a 3-hour seminar, a 2-day event. No. The answer is no. And in one of my videos, I even give an example. You've got all these trainers up here. And I want you to understand this. And agents who are listening to this, don't take the course, even if it's from your own brokerage, unless you ask this question. How many buyer agreements have you personally gotten signed that you've had to follow up with from beginning to end and get a buyer to write you a check and still get a positive review? How many have you done? And if they stare at you like this, what are they going to be able to teach you? Because we're talking about tens and tens of thousands of dollars. So if you were an attorney getting training, are you telling me you would go to a course on how to win in a courtroom trial from a lawyer that's never been in a courtroom? Or you're okay with getting surgery by a surgeon who was trained by a doctor that was, over them, that's never done surgery, but had the Grey's Anatomy book in front of him and said, yeah, see that blue thing? That's what's going to go on in our industry. It's freaking me out. Can you tell by my passion?
I love the passion. I absolutely love the passion.
So this is why people have to learn how to do this from people who have done it. I don't mean done it. Yeah, I've done it 4 times in the last 2 years. I'm really happy for you. You're still not cutting me open.
No, that's great. So, Mark, closing remarks. What do you want to leave with? Anything else you want to say to the listeners and viewers?
Yeah, listeners and viewers, seek the research that is going to be really hard for you to do is to find people who have been doing buyer agency agreements for years. Seek them out. We don't all do it the same. We don't all have the same scripts and dialogues, and that's okay. But if they've been successful in doing it at a time where they were against other agents that didn't even have to, those buyers didn't have to have one signed, those people have some sort of secret sauce. I love my secret sauce. My 12-week course is coming out. Please go to welcometothecommissionrevolution.com. I'm giving some snippets there, and I think I have 6 there as of today, but there'll be more coming in courses and course announcement. But find those who have done it to learn from, because everybody else is theory.
That's awesome. No, it's true. And honestly, thank you so much, Mark, for being on the podcast. I think this is such an important time. This is a major shift in our industry, and having people like you that have been doing this when it wasn't necessary is invaluable. And I'm for sure going to be looking out for that 12-week course in a couple of months or in about a month or so. So thanks so much for coming on. And remember, guys, don't be a basic biscuit.